Okay, welcome to the Carbon Marketplace Workshop, Opportunities on Tribal Land. My name is Brian Cummett. I'm a forester with the Nez Perce tribe in central Idaho. And as I indicated earlier in the introduction, many people probably wish that carbon would just go away. And I'm reminded of something Richard Sandor and Mike Walsh said years ago from the Chicago Climate Exchange, that carbon wasn't going to go anywhere. It's just a very slow, unstoppable train. And I think to further evidence that is that this is the third time in 13 years that ITC has dedicated quite a bit of time to the subject of carbon. We had a workshop at Mescalero Apache back in 2002, an all-day workshop in 2009 at the Nez Perce in Lewiston, Idaho, and now for a third time here in 2015. The big difference between those three time periods was in 2002 and 2009, everything was voluntary, and now we're moving into a new stage of carbon in the compliance market. And our agenda today is kind of heavily weighted towards that compliance side, but that's where a lot of the activity is today. So John and Steve have put together a great program with a lot of knowledgeable people in the field of carbon. And I want to point out that the flow or intent of the agenda is kind of divided into three parts. And the first part of the agenda is we'll talk about the compliance market, and we'll bridge that with a discussion on registries on both the voluntary and the compliance side, and then move into the voluntary markets and talk a little bit about that, and then wrap that portion of the agenda up with transaction costs for each one of those markets and types of projects. And then we'll move into the second part of our agenda and have presentations from Yurok, White Mountain, and Passamaquoddy on their experience and perspectives with their individual carbon projects. And we'll wrap things up, at least the presentation portion of the day, with Eric Giles from the National Indian Carbon Coalition talking about other carbon options on tribal ag and rangelands. And then please don't leave, but at the end of the day we'll wrap the day up with findings and recommendations. Also, as you know, another thing that John had asked me to talk about a little bit was the BIA policy, and give an update on that. Carbon over the years has generated many questions, and John Vitello in 2009 was all set to release a BIA carbon policy and was stopped short of that just days before that. And as you know, we've kind of been in limbo ever since. And as Dave indicated earlier, apparently the solicitor's office has released an opinion on that as of late. And I spoke with Sean, and as Dave indicated a little earlier, there's a couple of key components there that maybe Dave or somebody else can speak it to a little more intelligently later. But basically the big things there are that carbon has been determined to not be a trust asset, and it will not be an encumbrance on the land. So therefore tribes can move forward with their carbon projects. And as Dave indicated earlier, it's now in forestry's hands, I guess, to develop that policy. So